Locker Room, with all the sports news you need. Live.
There we go, and just like that, it's Friday again, and we are live on the Locker Room on Independence Live on a Friday night. This is the Locker Room until 7 o'clock. My name is Coors, is Mike McCune, and joined by Regan Stevens tonight.
Michael, it's good to be on. I know that I've been on the show the past few weeks, but I've been doing the stuff behind the scenes. But I know Graham and Alistair and that are really enjoying the weekend, so it's good to be on with you on screen this time.
Yeah, no, brilliant to see you on the show. We're here until 7 o'clock. Get your comments coming in. Of course, we're on Facebook and Twitter. Well, can't call it Twitter now. Regan, X, I think it's called now. So there you go. So it's been a disappointing week for the clubs in Europe. Hearts and Kilmarnock last week. I'm sure we'll get on to talk about it during the game. Also, Regan, it's a big week next week for disability sport because it's the Paralympics got the kickoff as well. So we'll preview that on the show as well. As I say, get your comments coming in. But we'll start up. Yes. But we'll start off with the game at Hampden Park tomorrow. And could it be the last game at Hampden Park for Rangers? We'll soon see, because the rumours going about that Rangers will be back in the ski game in Ibrox in September, and that will be after the international break. But first of all, before the deal was about moving back into their own house, they play Ross County tomorrow at Hampden. And first of all, Regan, what do you make of Rangers playing at Hampden Park?
It's a bit of an interesting experience, Michael. As you know, I was up at Ibrox this week trying to get some inside info. No, I was up there doing some stuff for the locker room, so it was good to be there. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what is happening at Ibrox, I mean, it's a bit of a strange situation. I mean, I watched the game against St Johnstone last week. It was a bit of an eerie experience as well, because there was a lot of empty seats, and then you seen Fulham come on and Dessers celebrating with a small section of supporters. So that was strange as well. I don't know if it's just Rangers fans are just fed up with the board and fed up with the players as well, in terms of they're not really showing up to Hampden and big crowds, Michael. So it's a little bit strange, but hopefully Rangers can get back in for that Dundee match and everything can go back to normal. But what I do find interesting with Rangers is that they're still not really bringing too many players in. Florian Clement says again today, Michael, that they need to sell players before they can bring in. I'm sure that's something we'll get onto, but I think in terms of Hampden, it was an interesting game last week against St Johnstone. Obviously, there was some refereeing controversy, which I'm sure we'll get onto, but yeah, I thought Rangers overall this season started very dull, very boring to watch, but I'm sure the Rangers fans will be hoping that they'll get back into Ibrox and it'll be normal way that Rangers will get back in and they'll get back into the swing of it again.
What do you think of obviously the guy spoke about the game last week on the show. Poor Alistair and Robbie had to speak about the games getting beat on the show last week. But what do you make of the Rangers players going over to celebrate with the Rangers fans? Because I saw a lot of comments on social media, and I think maybe you have as well, but some of it was a bit over the top.
Yeah, it was. It was just trying to get the fans involved because, like I said, that Hampden was pretty empty. I don't think the fans are really enamoured by what's going on at Hampden. And I think as well, they're kind of enamoured about the style of play that the club's got. I think most Rangers fans, if you listen to your radio and your TV sets most nights. They're not enamoured to what the Rangers squad are doing at the moment, and they're not happy with the manager. They're not happy with the players, and particularly they're not happy with the board. So they'll just be looking to get on the board this weekend against Ross County. So that'll be interesting for me, Michael. But I think it was a weird experience seeing that happen last week.
Yeah, so let's go on to talk about the game then. Obviously, we'll come back about talking about Rangers in a minute or two because, as you say, there's a lot of I think infighting. I think maybe it's the wrong word to use off the park, but let's speak about Ross County and Don Goodwin. What I mean, what? Obviously, it's still early on in the season, Regan, but what do you make of County so far?
They've started okay. I think from Ross County, they'll be happy with the way they've started. They got a point against Motherwell, I'm sure it was, early on in the season. So I'm pretty sure they'll be pretty happy with how they've started. Obviously, a big blow losing Dander and the boy to Dundee who scored 16 goals last year. So I'm sure they'll be trying to rebuild the squad and try and do something there. But I think they'll be pretty happy with the way things are going so far, Michael.
What do you think that the ambition of Ross County would be this season? Would it be to maybe make the top six? Because I don't think they can afford to go in the playoffs for a first season in a row.
I think it'll be just try and get that ninth or 10th place because they'll not want to go into that relegation playoff like you said there. They'll want to try and be able to stay up in a better way because the last two seasons, I'm not going to say they've been fortunate, but they have rode the luck at times. Obviously, they showed their class when they beat Brave Rovers by 5-0 in the playoff final last May, but they'll be hoping that they can do more. And Roy McGregor, somebody, the Ross County chairman, he's somebody that really backs his managers and really shows them, right, well, this is something that we want to. If I'm sure if Don Kirby, if there's somebody he wants to buy, I'm sure there'll be people that the board of directors will want to back because I've seen that Roy McGregor, he's able to put his hand in his pocket and he's able to say, right, well, if there's somebody there that you like, then we're more than happy for him to be involved.
Yeah. So that Ross County tomorrow. Let's have a look at the games, or obviously in full. So they are Saturday tomorrow. Rangers against Ross County. We've got Hibs against Dundee. That's an interesting one as well. I think the Hibs fans will have something to say about it if they don't win at home against Dundee. Dundee United against Johnson. I call that a tasty derby. I don't know about you, Regan. But on Sunday, we go on to talk about St Mirren and Celtic. Difficult game for Celtic there. Aberdeen against Kilmarnock and Motherwell against Hearts. And these are the games of the weekend, mate, in the league. Saturday and Sunday. Let's go back to talk about the game round Regan, the Rangers Ross County game as well. We spoke about County there. And obviously, we're going to talk about it later about a big report coming out by the SFA this week about bringing young player through. Now, I'm not wanting to offend clubs like Ross County and St Johnstone here, but do you think that because that they've not got any big pockets full of money, do do you think that they would rely on the young players to come through the ranks there at County?
Yeah, I think we've seen we've seen great examples going through Scottish football over the past couple of years. You've got David Watson, you've got David Turnbull, you've got Miller, who's at Motherwell at the moment. You've got Lewis Ferguson, Greg Taylor, Callum McGregor, Tierney, Aaron Hickey. So there's loads of examples there that these clubs need to do, but there still needs more improvement. There was a great conversation had in the media on Tuesday, I think it was, and someone said, Michael, that nowadays one of the big reasons that we don't produce players is because a lot of the schools and all that stuff, the football parks, are closed.
Mm.
And if you want to rent that, you're talking about £90 to £100 just for a pitch. And how can you expect a family to pay that? And how can you expect a football team to pay upwards of 40, 50 quid a month to a youth football club? I think we need to be realistic now, and we need to say that a portion of the TV money is brought down, because I feel like sometimes we take for granted, or people are playing their Xbox. Yeah, they're playing their Xbox because you've got one-off payment of £200 or whatever it is to play your Xbox. But if you're playing football, every time you go, it's costing you £100.
Yeah, no, exactly. But of course, I'm going to make a comment last night on I would say another radio station. It's like they've got like PlayStations in Spain and all that, and they're still producing good players. So what's the difference between Spain and Scotland? But I suppose it's back down to the money side of it again. It's an interesting debate, and I think we'll come back to it like on in the show, and it'll be interesting to see what people think about youth development as well. Because I mean, Reagan, I don't know about you, but I could spend a whole show speaking about youth development and all that, and the TV deal and all the rest of it, and supporters as well. But we'll get back to it later on as well. So Ross County travelled down to Glasgow tomorrow, and it's going to make it an interesting game, albeit it's on a different surroundings at Hampden Park. But the last time the sides met, Ross County beat Rangers up at Dingwall. The last time that the sides met,
they did a massive victory for Ross County. They won by 3-2. Great victory. That probably helped Ross County survive, and it also helped Celtic to win the title as well, because Rangers then played against Dundee about 2 or 3 weeks later, and they drew that match 0-0. So I think as well that Ross County have got some interesting players like Jordan White, people like that who really put themselves about, and you think, well, if Ross County can really stay in the game, then because of the venue, like I said, it's an eerie atmosphere. There's things going on. You wouldn't put it past Ross County to I'm not going to say they're going to win the match, but they're going to be competitive in the game, Michael.
yeah, no, exactly. I think it makes it a bit more different because obviously Hampden's got a bigger playing surface as well, and because of the weather as well, I suppose. And I think like Ross County will be up against it because I think that there'll be a bigger home support tomorrow than what you saw last week against Johnson in the Cup.
I think there will be, but also I think that The Rangers fans will just be glad to get to their natural home, and Ibrox will just be hoping that it's one more match that the SPFL are talking about. One more game, the Dundee match, the Premier Sports Cup. It feels like ages ago since we were talking about the Premier Sports Cup, but it was only 7 days ago when I made the graphic for the Premier Sports Cup. So, and we had some great matches, Michael. For Falkirk against Hearts. I heard you guys speaking about it on Friday about it being a potential um, upset on the cards. Obviously, we didn't expect Spartans to beat Ross County, but I think as well it shows you the drama of the Premier Sports Cup as well. And as I said, it's great to see all those matches live. And Premier Sports have now announced that every quarter final will be live as well. So it's great to see.
Yeah, no, I get exactly. Philip Clement was commenting today about the game. He said we're looking forward to this game, and but we'll be looking for to take all 3 points back. It will be a tough game because they beat us last season. Now, Reagan, I think and I said this last week on the show as well. I don't know if Philip Clement's too honest there, or maybe most of Rangers fans won't be happy at him coming out, but he's actually stating the fact that he basically said that we need to sell before we can buy. What's your take on that? Because I've never heard a Celtic or Rangers manager saying that. They try to talk it up, but they don't. I suppose in a way it's good how he's come out and saying that. But what's your thoughts on that, Reagan? Because I felt as though it was about he said that last week as well. So
My thoughts on it is that he's openly telling you that Rangers are in a little bit of financial trouble, but also he's trying to push the players that are currently there, like Todd Cantwell, Haji, possibly Scott Wright, possibly Robbie Matondo, people like that he thinks that are no longer part of his plans. But I just find it incredible that Rangers signed a 18-year-old or whatever it was from AC Milan for 1.2 million, and then he's been nowhere near it. Philippe Clement says he's a project player. I find that incredible. The Rangers are under financial stress at the moment, and they spend the most money on a guy from AC Milan. They should be spending money on players. See when the money's not there, Michael. See when they're openly telling you we need to sell players before we can buy. They should be bringing in ready-made players to make an impact in the start lineup.
what's your take on Todd Cantwell, as you said that Carlos Clement? I don't know if you saw his press conference, but he was asked to give out it, and he was saying about that the journalist asked him about why they're playing for the B team and is it his choice to play for the B team, but he didn't really come out and give an answer to that one. So do you think that the relationship between him and Clement has went a bit sour, you would say?
Yeah, I think it has. I think because I think Todd Cantwell's he's a very competent player, but I think we've seen that on the end of last season. Celtic Rangers played each other, Michael, at Celtic Park. It was a must-win game for Rangers, and Todd Cantwell was nowhere to be seen. He was on the bench. He was, if he was part of the manager's plans, he should have been front and centre of what Rangers are doing. And he's a capable player, Michael. See when teams like Ross County come to Hampden or they come to Ibrox or Celtic Park and they sit behind the ball and they try and open up, try and stay steady for 90 minutes. That's when you need players like Todd Cantwell to open up and say right, this is what I want to do, and say, right, well, if we bring him on, he's going to make a big impact. But think for Rangers, it's just disappointing that they've got so many players on the books that they feel that are not going to make an impact. But as you say, Michael, if there's no interest in the players, then Rangers are able to sell them. You know, they talked about Hadji playing well with Romania in the Euros, but if nobody's um, willing to pay what Rangers are offering, then you'll still be at Rangers by the end of the transfer window. But I would also add that I don't think it's good for the confidence of the team that they've got so many players there that are not wanted to be around Rangers Football Club.
Yeah, and also I'm just looking at Reagan. I don't know if you saw this, but it was in the Daily Record today that Rangers have launched an application with Glasgow City Council for the instalment of the netting system for the game against Celtic and in the new year, you would say. But I just wanted to ask about that as well, because is that really where football's going at the moment? For supporters to be safe.
I think if that appeases both clubs and if Celtic feel safe when they go there, then I would say yes. But to mention it, I would say that Rangers are talking about that they are putting in today, Michael. Well, that is something that Glasgow City Council said that they had to put in months ago, and that was what Celtic said last week. But what I would like to see, Michael, is I would like to see, for the greater good of Scottish football, that everybody has supporters in, and then that we've done the best possible thing for our game, because we've got multi-million-pound deals with Sky Sports, and I don't know about you, Michael, but it'll be interesting next week to watch the Celtic Rangers match, and you think to yourself, right, well, it's going to be great, but also you need to ask yourself, Michael, everybody in that stadium would rather both sets of supporters there. I know they'll say, oh, it's great, but see if Celtic score at Ibrox, it's totally different. Same way if Rangers score at Celtic Park, it's totally different. So, yeah, I do see that both clubs are a bit tit for tat, and Rangers, they don't want to put up the net, but now they do. I get it, it's all tit for tat, but I just hope we can come to some sort of agreement.
Yeah, no, definitely. So do you think that Ross County hopefully, well, not hopefully, but hopefully in their eyes will come to Hamilton and cause a shock, or maybe sit in for a point, or how do you think they'll approach this game?
I think in terms of Ross County, I think they'll be honest, and they'll try their best, and they'll think to themselves that it's going to be a difficult match. But I think they'll be fully aware, Michael, that it's not the Rangers that it was a couple of years ago. I would even say it's not the Rangers that was under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. You look at this team, and you think to yourself, well, surely this Rangers squad have to um, be doing better. But you look at players like Scott Wright, and you think, how's he still there? Because 2 years ago or 1 year ago, he was on a flight to Turkey, and now he's a starter for the squad. So it just shows you how far Rangers have fallen as well. Yeah, but I would like to see what people are saying in the comments as well, because I know we've got quite a few people live, Michael, and I'd just be interested to see what they think, because I think at the moment that you can clearly see that, for me, Michael, Celtic are the team to beat.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's park that one there, and let's go to it's interesting, this one, because as well as the derby. Well, I call it a derby anyway. Dundee United and St Johnstone. It's a Craig Levein derby as well, Reagan, because it's Dundee United against St Johnstone tomorrow. And just tell you quickly what the managers were saying ahead of the game. Craig Levein was saying it's going to be a real challenge, but it's up to us to go there. But I think it will be a difficult game. Jim Goodwin, of course, the home manager, says there's a good feeling within the group. Clean sheets will be important this season, but this weekend will be a difficult game, so it will be a tough test for us. Reagan, I know that I know that Jim Goodwin says there's a good feeling in the camp and all the rest of it. But like when managers say that, you know that it's okay saying that because you've been training Monday to Friday, but supporters really want to know want to see the performance levels at the weekend.
Yeah, I think the performance level of Dundee so far has been pretty good, but they'll just be hoping to get a win tomorrow. A win tomorrow, like you said, it's a Teesside derby. I remember years ago that there was a bit of feistiness in this, so I'm sure
Mm.
that people at Alistair are going to the match tomorrow. Very much looking forward to getting their season ticket ready and getting the scarf and the pie and all that, and looking forward to it because it's going to be an interesting season for Scottish football, Michael. We've got so much entertainment involved, and I'm just lucky that we're able to cover it every Friday. So I think it's going to be great. I mean, St Johnson, I don't think they've started okay so far this season. They played okay against Aberdeen, and then the match against Rangers last week. I don't think you can really expect much of them. I don't think they could expect much of themselves. I think Alison said it on last Friday when I was producing the show from behind the scenes, but he was saying that St Johnstone have only won there. I think they've got a 80% win rate. I think it is against both Rangers and Celtic. So see when you look at it from that way, I don't think they really expected much. But I think in terms of this one, you've um, raised the point that it's a Teesside derby, so I'm sure the players and the fans will be right up for it.
It's just brilliant to see one of the big teams back in the big time, Dundee United.
I think it was a case in point when Dundee United played Dundee and the Dundee derby. That's only 2 minutes down the road. So I just find it fascinating, Michael, that you can walk to the stadium from Tannadice to the Dundee Stadium. I think it's great. I think it's great for Scottish football. We certainly get treated to a brilliant fixture as well. So, no, I think it's great to have them back, and it's great to see that they've signed a few players as well. So they've obviously got the ambition. I know over the past couple of years, Dundee United have sort of had the financial trouble, but hopefully they're getting through that now.
Yeah, it's one of these kind of unique situations like you love about Scottish football when it comes to the Scottish Cup that you see the cameras going to all the wee grounds like junior teams and all that, and you see a guy hanging out the window watching the game from his house. But also as well, like when Dundee goes up to United or vice versa, the guys walk up, they don't get team worse, and I think that's a very unique thing to see in Scottish football, and it's kind of very good as well. Yeah, as I said, Dundee United beat St Mirren last week, and it was a pity because I put on three guys on the show, Reagan, that all the teams were out. So you had Graham, you had Alistair, and you had Robbie talking about games that none of the teams won the quarterfinals. So I was
Michael, you're just putting them through extra stress on a Sunday. So then
Exactly, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's a day when you're supposed to enjoy your roast beef and your whatever else you enjoy. So no, I mean, in terms of that, there was a few shocks. I'm sure we'll get on to with Falkirk and Hearts and of the Robbie with St Mirren as well. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. So I'm just looking forward to another weekend in Scottish football, Michael.
Graham's that show was fun last week. I think it wasn't, but there you go. Yeah, I saw you were talking about the game through the cracks in your fingers, Graham. But yeah, you did well last week. Yeah, I mean, this game is an interesting game as well because I mean, St Johnstone are very. I was going to say very good football team. Alistair might disagree with me there, but I think they might be a new lease of life in St Johnstone at the moment because obviously you've got an American owner coming in and speaking to Alistair on the show previous that he was saying that he's got big ambitions for the club in terms of like moving away half of the car park at McDermott Park as well.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get more people into football grounds, then it's ideal for us because we want to make it more accessible. I spoke earlier on the show about prices for young people as well. The fact that they need to pay £100 to go and play during the week down at a local park, but it's also important that you get the ticket prices right for football stadiums, Michael, because as we know with Graham going to Tynecastle, he often tells us in the group chat about some of the prices that he pays for himself and his family to go to Tynecastle. And I'm often surprised at how expensive it is. So, I mean, I, I'm in the notion that Scottish football should be like Germany, where 20 splintered. You know what I mean? I think we should be open to try and get the best prices possible to see as many people in the stadiums as possible.
Yeah, no, I exactly. What do you make of the owners from overseas coming in from football clubs? Obviously, we saw it with Fergus McCann in the 90s, and he did say that he was going to be there for a certain period of time, and they left Celtic in a better state than that. He actually come in, and obviously Murrow's got the new owner as well. He's he's a kind of American owner. What's your views on that, Reagan? Because I think like my views on it is when people is coming in, they're just using Scottish football as a stepping stone. But is that me being a bit negative?
No, I don't think that. I don't think you're being negative. I think that's just the natural Scottish football where it is in the food chain. I think in terms of Scottish football, and you can look at and say, well, what people can ask you how that is, but I think it's just that it's not advertised as much, and you look at the amount of money that's put into the Premier League and put into the Spanish league as well. But I do think we've got a really good product. I'm not just saying that because I'm on here talking about it, but I do think we've got a good product. And I would call on Neil Doncaster, I would call on the SPFL to try and promote the game better because I think like sometimes we should be promoting the game better because you look at things like that where the Premier Sports trophy has got every match available. I think there should be a TV channel. Because
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Michael, but I don't feel that if you put the game on the TV, the crowd will go down that much. I feel like if you do that more often, then there'll be an extra income for the clubs,
Yeah,
and
no, definitely.
it's very important because I spoke about it with Alan a couple of weeks ago. But if you look at the teams that go down from the Scottish Premiership and the teams that win the Championship or what the win League One, it's a big financial disparity. So we need more eyes and more ears on Scottish football. And if we can do that right now, then hopefully more people can do it.
Graham's making an interesting comment, and that's good to see that Hearts has done it. Let's hope other clubs follow suit on this one. Only £5 for my son for the European game next week. It's Castle as class, and yeah, I mean, £5, Reagan. I mean, when was the last time you paid that to get into a game?
Yeah, I'll pay it for junior games, but I think for a European game, it's really good, sensible for Hearts, because I think it's sensible in terms of that they know that it's a special night, but they're trying to get as many people through the door as possible. Because um, I was watching the Hearts game last night, Michael, you know, for the locker room, and I feel like in terms of that game, you know, I was looking at the added time and I'm thinking, if Hearts can just hold on for, I think it was about 10 seconds to go, and then they scored, and I'm thinking, if they could just hold on, and then when they crossed the ball, and I'm going, oh no, here we go. And it was typical Scottish football, I'm sure we'll get on to all the European action, but it was a big shame. It really was. But as well, Michael, I think that's why they're making the tickets cheap as well, because they know that
It's
they're
a
going to
must-win game.
they're
Yeah.
going to get a big reward. Because if if your Hearts next week, it's only a 1 goal margin, and even if you go 2-1 up, it'll be 2-2 in aggregate, because there's no advantage for the away team anymore. So I think it makes it a very even game. I hope that someone takes it for the TV, because we want to get more revenue in Scottish football. I think it's very important. And I also hope that Graham has a great night, because I hope that um, the Hearts will get through, and I hope that Kilmarnock get through as well. They've got a more difficult task, because they let a goal in the 95th minute as well. So it's not good for Scottish football. I'm sure we'll get onto it.
I know you said £5 is brilliant money at junior football. Graham said £5 for a son. I sort of played £5 one day to get out of junior game. Reagan was that bag. I'll tell you about it later. It was a brilliant game, brilliant fight as well. Anyway, so yeah, what do you make of Craig Levine at St Johnson?
I find it interesting that he seems to have adapted well to his role. He seems to have really be enjoying himself in management again. I think there was a time where he went into Hearts as the director of football, and Budgie just come in, and he just didn't seem to enjoy it. Then he became the director of football and the manager. So I think the Hearts fans got a kind of best of both worlds. But the only thing that wasn't possible was Craig Levine wasn't able to sack himself if it went bad. Remember that, Michael? But
Yeah.
so I think now he's done a bit of punditry with the different stations and that. So I think he's got really back into the groove of Scottish football again. He knows all the players. He knows what they're capable of, and I think I don't see any trouble for St Johnson this season. I said to you a few weeks ago, I expect the trouble to be with um, Motherwell. I know
Oh,
Steve.
right, okay.
I
Yeah.
know I know the regular contributor Stevens away to England this weekend to enjoy a festival, but I hope he's not listening, because I expect Motherwell to get relegated.
There you go. You've heard it here first in the locker room and exclusive as well. I know that we talk about managers finding their levels and all that, and I don't know if this is fair for me to say or not, but in terms of the opposite dugout, Jim Goodwin at United, has he found a good level there in terms of he got them relegated, and then he got them kind of like back up as well. And obviously they've made a good start to the season.
I think what Jim Goodwin's done is, Michael, he's found a home found a home at Dundee United. You know, there's become a good relationship there where he's went down and he's kind of, they've said to him, right, we're trusting you to bounce back. And that's what's happened. They trusted him, he trusted them. But I did find the Tony Watt situation a bit strange. You know, he was the main man last season to get him up to the Premier League, and then he goes to Motherwell. But when all the fans booed him, they all wanted him gone.
Yeah, it was a weird one, that.
I remember he had a wee bit of a fight with Alan Burrows, who's now the chairman of Aberdeen. So yeah, I just find it strange that he's still there. He's went to Motherwell on loan, I'm sure it is, that I heard. But yeah, I just find it strange that he's not there. But what I would say about Jim Goodwin is he's a very capable manager. But like you said, I think I would kind of describe Jim Goodwin as the Scottish Sam Allardyce, where he goes in and saves teams now. You know, if your team is battling relegation or that they want to get up to from the Championship, he's your man, because he's done that with quite a few clubs. He got Alloa promoted. He done well with St Mirren. You know, he got them to a semi-final, which they got beat from a Sean Rooney masterclass that day. So, you know, Jim Goodwin's got his ways, but I think Aberdeen's a step too far from him. But I still would say he's a capable coach.
Talking about Tony Watt as well and Jim Goodwin, do you think it's a case of their personalities kind of crash a wee bit off the park?
I think that's fair to say, and I think Tony Watt's a kind of boisterous, kind of loud kind of guy. I remember the whole thing with him where he was kind of saying, "Well, I've got my own chicken farm and all that sort of stuff." You know, when he was doing all the chicken moves and all that.
When they scored, he celebrated the chicken, yeah.
He did. 2 seconds, Michael. We've got a grand entrance here.
Tony Watt. Oh,
Hello.
no, it's Graham.
Hello, Graham. How are we doing?
All right, chaps, what's happening?
Doing good. It's good to have you on, mate. We're just talking about Jim Goodwin right now, but I think in terms of Jim Goodwin, Michael, I think he's found his level at Dundee United. He's probably found a home. So I think, I don't think every single fan is happy with Jim Goodwin, but I think they're just happy to be back in the big time again.
Yeah, no, exactly. Graham, what do you make of this game? The Dundee United St Johnstone. We were just talking about it. So, what's your views on the game?
I think it'll be close. I mean, St Johnstone have actually done all right so far this season. I thought they'd be in relegation trouble. I still think they might be, but I think Sidibe and Kempioka, I think I spoke to Alistair about this last week. They look very dangerous. They've got a lot of pace. They could cause Dundee United problems. But I've been impressed by United start to the season so far. I think they've signed very well. I think the guy Trapanovsky up front looks a real handful. This could be a tough game. I thought United at home against Dundee were very impressive. That was a great game, that game. But I think they've done all right so far. I can see United maybe just sneaking this. But I think St Johnstone have been slightly better than I expected them to be, which will be pleasing for Alistair. I think they were unfortunate not to get something at hand against Rangers, to be honest. They had chances, just didn't take them. But yeah, I think St Johnstone have looked all right, but I think I'd probably fancy United to sneak this because they're at home.
Now, Regan, they say in the business it's all about timing. Now, Grimm's timing's absolutely impeccable because we've got to talk about Hibs. And I think you might have a few things to say about Hibs as well. Maybe not about the festival, but about the game. So, yep. So, Graham, of course, it's not been a good start with David Gray. He's been up against the two Celtic games last week at Parkhead and the game at Easter Road the last couple of weeks. What do you make of this game tomorrow? And do you think that if they go a goal behind, the supporters will be on their back because the game's at home tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit unfortunate for David Gray that he's had to play Celtic twice, but that's just the way things happen. I think the biggest thing will be that opening day defeat against St Mirren where they got absolutely hammered. Against Celtic, there's not a lot you can do. I thought they were outplayed at Easter Road. Could have been more than 2. Last week, they put a bit of fight. They got the goal back at 2-0, and you're thinking, maybe could they get back in this? But I think David Gray's been slightly unfortunate. I've said previously to Mike and stuff that I think appointing Gray was a risk. You know, appointing legends doesn't always work as manager. I thought it was always a risk. I still think they'll be fine. I think they've signed reasonably well. I know they're still looking for somebody else to come in. I know they wanted Kevin Nisbet, but that looks like it might be Aberdeen that might get him, which is a good signing for Aberdeen if that happens. But Hibs have not had a great start. But at home, they'll look to start well. But they're against a very, very good Dundee side so far. I've been very impressed with them so far. I thought they'd beat Airdrie last week, but I thought it would be difficult. To win 6-1 is outstanding. They look a very good side again this season. And I think you've talked about it before, Michael, about Simon Murray. I think getting him back is massive. You know, it causes teams problems. I saw that 2 weeks ago against Hearts. He runs into the channels. He's a pest. He never stops running. He will cause his problems tomorrow. And I think Dundee have looked very good. But you've got to imagine that Hibs will bounce back at some point. And I think it might come tomorrow. I don't know what the crowd will like tomorrow. I'd imagine it'll be decent. But if they don't win tomorrow, I think there's already pressure on David Gray. I really do. And I think it's far too early. But I think there's pressure on him already. If he goes another 4 or 5 games without a win, questions will be asked. I still think it's a massive risk appointing him.
I think as well, Graham, that the kind of joint owners from Bournemouth, they said that if it was up to them, that David Gray would be nowhere near it.
That's the other thing. When you've got that kind of boardroom animosity where some folk wanted him, some folk didn't, that's never a good thing. You've got to have everyone pulling in the same direction. So that probably hasn't worked either. But I just think there's probably better managers out there that could have gone to Hibs rather than appointing David Gray. I had this when we appointed John Robertson as manager 2004. I don't want to be singing Robertson has to go. You know, he's a legend for me. He's a club legend. Hibs fans love the same thing. They don't really want to be saying David Gray has to go. But if things don't work out, you have to start asking the questions, is this guy the right guy? And the fact that there's tension in the boardroom about we didn't want him to get it in the first place, that's not a good look. It really isn't. And to turn that round, he has to win games. Like I say, I think he's a bit unlucky that he's had to play Celtic twice in the last 2 weeks. You can't do much about that. You're against the champions, you can't do much about that. But they have to bounce back tomorrow at home. You know, if they don't win tomorrow, then I know it's very early in the season, but I think questions will get asked. And like I said, they're against a very good Dundee side. I think Dundee have looked very good so far.
Reagan, do you think the only thing Hibs will hold on to tomorrow is Dundee has not beat Hibs at Easter Road since 2001?
Yeah, that's a great start you've got there, Michael. So I can tell you've been researching all day. But
5 minutes it took me.
That's a great start, Michael. I think that's the most confident that probably Dundee will be going into Easter Road in a long, long time. Like Graham was saying there, that they've no started the season too great. I'm sure Tony Dockery is a contender for the Dundee job. You know, I'm sure everybody's saying, well, that this guy's punching above his weight at Dundee. They've been brilliant. You know, and for Dundee to finish above Hibs is a credit to him, because I'm no sure what the budget of Dundee is, but I'm sure the one at Easter Road is certainly bigger. So I think in terms of that, I don't think that Dundee will get beat tomorrow. I'm not going to say they're going to win, but I'm saying that I don't think they'll get beat.
Graham, I saw a comment on the chat about, well, I'm not going to say what the guy said actually, but he made a fair point about the day after the Celtic game last week. David Gray actually gave the team a day off, and the guy says it's only again, you know, why are you giving them a day off after a Celtic game and stuff like that? They had a day off on Monday, came back in on Tuesday. David Gray said Tony has done a fantastic job, so we are preparing for this game. We are preparing for this game in the right manner. Tony Docherty says that will be a tough game, great venue, and they have a lot of great individual players that we would like to come away with all 3 points on the game on Saturday. What's your thoughts about? I presume Regan was saying maybe Hibs would be looking at Tony Docherty if things don't work out for David Gray, because he might have more of a budget to spend. Now, I'm not saying by any matter means Tony Docherty will be the manager of Hibs tomorrow night at 4:45. Then again, it's Scottish football, you never know. But what do you think about him and Dundee? Because obviously we spoke about, I've certainly spoke about it on the show before, like the transition from being a coach to a manager. But as the old saying goes in Scottish football, Graham, it's took it to like a duck to water.
It has, and I think for me, if I'm Hibs, after playing Celtic, the one team I don't want to face just now is Dundee, because they're in a really good run. Probably them and Aberdeen at the moment are the form teams in Scotland just now. So going to Easter Road is going to be very difficult for Dundee, but they'll fancy this. Like I think they'll fancy it against Rangers at Hampden as well in that League Cup quarter-final. Dundee have got a lot of real quality there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Docherty is somebody that, if it doesn't work out with David Gray, maybe that's where Hibs would go next, because he has done very well. You see a lot of people that are coaches that maybe don't make great managers. They're just really good coaches. But I think Tony Docherty's done a brilliant job. What he did last season, and he started off so well this season. But I think what Tony Docherty has done very well is recruitment. I think he's recruited really well this summer. Simon Murray is a big thing about that. The one thing I would say, though, is next Friday's transfer deadline day, they really need to keep hold of Luke McKeown and Lyle Cameron. Now, I know that they've rejected 3 bids from Hibs for McKeown. They might come back on another bid and it might get accepted this time. If they keep hold of those 2, that'll be massive, because they're the cog in that Dundee team. They're absolutely fantastic players. But I honestly think Dundee will go Easter Road tomorrow and fancy this. And I would not be surprised, like Regan says they are, I wouldn't be surprised if they come up with something. Hibs just now look, I'm not really sure, and I think this was mentioned last week, I'm not really sure what style of play David Gray's trying to implement yet. They've got a lot of players and a lot of new players that haven't really gelled yet. So I don't know what he's going to do tomorrow. But this is a big game already for Hibs. If they go another game without a win, pressure will build.
Regan, what do you make of this news? I don't know if you saw it coming from the Edinburgh News tonight. It says Hibs are hoping to agree a second loan deal from Birmingham's defender Owen Beveridge.
I don't really know the guy, but just glad to see that they're doing some business, because I think David Gray needs help. I always feel like sometimes you can often get in a club legend and leave him sort of hanging out to dry. So I'm glad that they're trying their best to bring in players. I'm actually interested to see what you guys think. Right? What about Neil Lennon? Right? I know he's left this week, but do you think he's somebody that Scottish football will look at again? Or do you think Neil Lennon's management time is now over? Because
I don't think his management time's over, but I just don't think he'll come back in Scotland again. I think he's got too much. There's too much baggage there, I think. He did well at Hibs the last time he was there, but I don't see him coming back to Scotland. And I mean, that remaining stint's been an absolute disaster. 3 games in, he was sacked already. I don't see him come back. I don't see him come back to manage in Scotland. I might be wrong, but I don't see it.
I think it was more Regan that his personal life instead of his job, because his mum kind of just died a few weeks ago. I think that's got more to do with it than, but I hope he wasn't sacked over because he got beaten 3 games late enough in Scottish football. Some managers don't last the night, never mind 3 games.
I mean, to be honest, if Neil Lennon wants a job, there's a job at BBC now, because Jermaine Genius has been sacked.
So that's how Graham's here tonight for the banter as well. And by the way, we weren't going to talk about that tonight, Graham, but so yeah. Where do I go from here, Regan? Gives me a map and we get off here.
Do you know what Will said? We're talking about Hibs, right? I said this start of the season. I think I said this to Mikey as well. they had these new owners coming in, these billionaire owners, and I said at the time, I don't think they'll spend a lot of money. You know, they have this, what was it, 6 million they've got. I never thought they would spend a lot of it. And they haven't really spent a lot of it. They've not really spent a fee on anyone yet. It's been a lot of loans and stuff. I wonder if Hibs will actually, by next Friday, actually sign somebody for a lot of money. Luke McCowan, possibly. But the only team that's really spent any big money is Aberdeen. £1 million on that Heiskanen guy. Hibs have got the money there, but I never thought they were going to spend any of it, and they've not.
Apart from Heiskanen, who's Aberdeen signed? Because I thought the Swedish manager would really try and put his stamp on the team, but he's not really brought many in.
Well, he's trying to sign a few folk from IKEA, apparently, because they're Swedish.
A guy up front called.
He's gonna play a flat back four, apparently.
Is Graham going to the Fringe this weekend?
I've already been, mate.
And Meatballs, I think he's supposed to sign as well. But
Meatballs plays at left back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Dundee, Regan, what do you think of them? Do you think that it will be a very kind of open game?
I think the Dundee and Hibs game will be open, but I expect Hibs as a home team will try to be on the front foot. I think they'll try and be aggressive. I think it's up to people like Joe Newell and Martin Boyle to step up, but I feel like I say every year. I think see when Martin Boyle gets injured, then that seems to be the Hibs fall away. So they'll be hoping that he stays fit, but I think over the past kind of 20 to 25 years, you expect them to be up there, but personally for me, over the past couple of years, it just became normal that Hibs are a big average team now. You know, because you get people like Dundee, St Mirren, even St Johnstone over the past 10 years, they've had more success than say the second team in Edinburgh. Because if you look at it from this point of view, St Johnstone they've been into European football. They've won the second amount of trophies over the past 10 years, apart from Celtic. So you look at that and you say that I think they've really underachieved. I know they've had some real success times with Neil Lennon and Alan Stubbs when they had John McGinn and people like that who were like part of a Scottish team that beat Rangers in the final at Hampden. But apart from that, you can really say it's a dry spell.
You guys saw Hibs last week at Celtic Park. I mean, did you see anything from them? I think the laddie, I don't know what his name is, Kucherev, that scored the goal, looks decent, but did you see actually any kind of style of play that David Gray's trying to implement?
No.
By the way, what I would say is what a goal from Hibs.
It's a great goal. It's a great goal, but no,
nothing different, Graham. No.
And see when they started doing all this playing for the back, and then Celtic's first goal comes from playing over the back. Sometimes at these places like Celtic Park, Ibrox and Tynecastle, like, you need to be smart. You need to know what you're doing. And see when you're playing all these playing over the back and trying your best, you need to remember that you're playing Celtic here. You're not playing, Spartans, with disrespect to them. But you're not playing a team like that where you can take too many risks. I just think it's probably all of these managers now. I mean, we spoke about Sean Maloney, Ian Caffrey, all of these managers. They pop in Scottish football and they've got a playbook about, I'm going to come in, I'm going to revolutionise Scottish football. I'm going to make it brilliant. I'm going to be on my laptop and I'll make it play it for the back and all that. But sometimes it's about being a competitive team and being hard to beat.
I've noticed this more recently. There's a lot of managers now that want to try and play it from the back, but see if you don't have a goalkeeper and defenders that can do it, it's absolutely pointless. We try that at Hearts. Craig Gordon can't use his feet. Vander Clark's not the best at his feet. if you're going to play it from the back, you've got to have defenders that can play the ball quickly and play it through the lines and stuff. We don't have that. But so many managers now try and play this build-up from the back, and they can't do it because they don't have players that are good enough to do it. And it really frustrates me at times that people can't play that way.
Let's move on to talk about the Celtic game on Sunday, Regan. And before we do that, I need to say good evening to Scottish TV Gold. Happy to have you back and happy to keep that name. Don't move it to BBC or
always
Channel 4
believe
or
in your
whatever.
soul.
Exactly. Regan, before we get on to this game, St Mirren and Celtic, I was saying to you before the game, do you think that Brendan Rodgers is beginning to get a bit of itchy feet again?
Yeah, I think I was listening to his press conference today, Michael, and he just seems to get frustrated. Last week he was saying that Celtic are in full control. I've told them all some of what I need, and now he's saying I hope to get players in. I hope. So it just seems to me that don't know. There's a little bit of this. Like I just feel as if he's getting too frustrated now. You know, he said quality this time last year, and they've still not got that quality in. Graham, I want to ask you, right? How come a club like Celtic still struggle to find a left back? How's that? Like I've said it for Graham. I don't know how many years I've been on this show. I mean, I've lost hair since I've been on this show. Been on this show but probably about 4 years now, 3 years. But I just feel like I've said to you and Michael for the past 3 or 4 years now, Graham, that Celtic need a left back, and they've still not got a left back.
Bring back Emilio Izaguirre. What's he doing these days? No, you do need a left back. I mean, I don't think Taylor's actually that bad a player. I think he's done quite well at Celtic in the past, but there was talk about you maybe getting Owen Beck, the guy that was at Dundee, who I think is a decent player. But I'm sure that'll be something that Rodgers is looking at. You know, they've got a week to go, the deadline. I still expect Celtic to sign a few players before the window shuts. And a left back might be one of them. But what I cannot get my head around, and this is no disrespect at all to anybody, I cannot get my head around Man City trying to sign Kyogo. Kyogo's a decent player, don't get me wrong. But Man City level, absolutely no chance to see Man City level. No chance. I can't believe they're actually looking at him as an option.
Graham, I want to ask you your opinion about, obviously, Hearts is no good. They've got money, yes, but they haven't got the same finances as Celtic. Now, how frustrated are you looking at Celtic having millions of money? I would say maybe 80 million, you would say, in the bank, not spending it.
It would be frustrating, but I do still expect Celtic to spend money. And I think I said this last time I was on. I know full well that it's not Celtic's fault they've got money, right? They're very well run, but trying to compete with that is very difficult. Now, I would love Hearts to go and sign a player for £1 million, £2 million, but we've not done that. I think our most expensive signing is Mirsad Bousliga. We signed for £850,000. We've not spent £1 million on a player for a long, long time. Aberdeen have just spent £1 million on Heiskanen, who looks decent from what I've seen. But I would love to see Hearts go and spend $1 million or two on players. And we've got the money there. Foundation of Hearts has got plenty of money there that can sign players, but we don't spend it. And it is frustrating. I just talked about Hibs there. They've got millions there that they could spend, but they won't do it. And it is frustrating. You know, I would love some point next week Hearts are going to sign a player for $1 million, $1.5 million. But I know we won't do it. And it is very frustrating.
Regan, it's a big week for Celtic. Obviously, they've got St Mirren on Sunday. Next week, they've got the Glasgow Derby. But how crucial before they get there, when the Celtic fans turn up next Sunday to see Matt O'Reilly and Kyogo on the team sheet, and that when the window's shut.
Yeah, I think it is important, but to be honest, Michael, I don't think he will. I said in the group chat the other day that Kyogo's changed his agent. So I feel that Brendan Rodgers said today that there's no interest from Man City, but what Kyogo's agent's doing is Kyogo's new agent is trying to get clubs interested. That's what he's trying to do. So I believe that Kyogo might be leaving Celtic before the deadline, because why else would Kyogo's agent change this late on the window? And also, why would Kyogo's agent put out the feelers from other clubs to say, right, this player wants to move? You know,
How much is Kyogo worth?
I think Celtic are looking in the region of 18 million.
How long's he been at Celtic now? Two seasons, is it?
Well,
3 seasons?
three
Two and
seasons.
a bit.
Aye, 2.5, because he's 29 now. So
Do you think he's Man City class? Genuinely.
no, I don't even think he's Spurs class. Never mind Man City class. But I do get what my Man City would want him, because they're part of the City group, which Celtic are part of that as well. So maybe they're looking at that. Doing a bit of digging as well, Graham. Like I said to you the other day, that a Man City coach worked with Kyogo in Japan as well at Vissel Kobe. So that might be an option that he's probably thrown to him, or maybe it's just the agent trying to sell Kyogo to other clubs because Kyogo wants to leave Celtic.
That's
So
what it sounds like to me.
On the park, Graham, what do you make of this game? Obviously, Celtic's going there without a game during the week because obviously they don't have to play in the qualifying games as well. St Mirren's up and down start, you would say, good achievement for them to get to the second round of the European football. Obviously, get knocked out last week. Interesting game, this one.
Yeah, I think Celtic have started very well. I think they've looked very strong. And I've already said that I think they won the league quite comfortably. I think they won it by about 20 points, to be honest. And that's without signing anybody else, which I think they will, though. I think they will strengthen further. But, I mean, St Mirren have done all right so far. Decent start to this season. I was gutted they didn't get past Brann. I genuinely thought they were going to do it. When they go back to 1-1, I thought they've got a chance, but just losing those 2 late goals was gutting for them. But I think they'll compete really well. You know, at home, they're a very strong side. I still think Celtic were too strong for them. I've been very impressed with Celtic so far this season. And like I said last week on the show, I think Kasper Schmeichel's a brilliant goalkeeper. I've always rated him when he was at Leicester. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. I actually think he's an upgrade on Joe Hart. I genuinely do. He's a brilliant goalkeeper. So I think Celtic have done well so far, and they will strengthen further. But I think Celtic win this game. I think St Mirren will give a good go because it's at home, but I just think Celtic at the moment look like they've raised a level from last season, and that's worrying from everyone else. You know, they could go into that game against Rangers next week very comfortable, I think.
Regan, Graham makes a good point. Not that he makes a good point very often, and I'm sure it must be a leap year or whatever. But there's actually been a difference in Celtic's play, even though pre-season and people say, well, it's only pre-season. Yeah, but you only beat Man City and Chelsea. And in terms of the style of play, Regan, it's night and day, because last season it was kind of walking football, pass, possessing football, but now it's kind of like it reminds me of the kind of Brendan Rodgers first spell I had at Celtic.
I think you're spot on there, Michael. I think in terms of, I think the players are more buying into what Brendan Rodgers wants now. They know the kind of style of play. They know the training methods, so they're getting used to it. But I think Brendan Rodgers made a great point today. He said that the players are buying into what I'm doing, but also I need more quality, because you need to remember that there's also an extra 2 matches in Europe now. So instead of the 6, it'll be 8 matches in Europe. So you need extra quality there. And even for a team of Hearts, they're going to need extra players, because you're going to go through a lot of matches. And as we've seen, a lot of these teams get tired, because look at the start that Derek McInnes side have made to the season. They've been terrible. They were terrible against St Johnstone, and then they have not been like setting the header on fire. So I think European football definitely does have an impact. But what I want to ask you guys as well, like, do you guys think that Scottish football should do more what Victoria Pilsen are doing this week when they take on Hearts? That the Czech Football Association are saying that they will postpone their match at the weekend so that they can get a few days rest, or do you say no, Graham? How do you feel about it, both of you?
Oh, I am 100% behind Victoria Pilsen. I said this last week. We should be doing a lot more to help our Scottish teams in Europe. And I'm not talking about group stage football, only for the qualifiers. If you can help our teams get through to the actual proper group stage football, then that's a massive help for Scotland. It's a massive benefit. It raises the coefficient. I said this last time. Every other team in Europe does this. They allow their teams extra time off to prepare for the next game. I think that's what we should be doing in Scotland. Now, I know that people said last time, but we've got too many games. I am only talking about the qualifiers. That's the only thing I'm talking about, is letting our teams prepare for the qualifying games. Because we always talk about the fact that our teams don't do well in European football, and then we do nothing to help them. I think Victoria Pilsen, I think the Czech Republic people have done a great job here. They've allowed their team to cancel the game on Sunday to prepare for next week. That's what should happen on Sunday. And I think Kilmarnock have done the right thing as well by saying the same thing about asking about postponement for Sunday as well. Give your teams a chance to actually qualify. Because too often, I've heard people on this show and other shows saying, Scottish clubs are terrible in Europe. We'll help them out then. Go and help them. For the qualifiers I'm talking about, only for the qualifiers. Go and help them. Go and give them a chance to actually get through. If we get through to the Europa League proper stage, we get more money. That helps us. It helps Scottish football. Go and help them. But Scottish football, we don't do that. The SFA don't care. Go and help us out by cancelling the game on Sunday. You can easily rearrange it again, but we won't do it. But I think what the Czech Republic lot have done is brilliant. Giving their team an extra time to prepare for a big, big game next week. This is a huge game. We win next week, we're in the Europa League. It's a massive game. But instead, Scottish football won't do that. And I said this last week, and I keep saying it.
Regan, what the Brendan Rodgers was also talking about this today. We spoke about Tony Docherty being a brilliant manager. Stephen Robertson is another good manager as well. And you know, when we're talking about budgets, he'll be in half or maybe a quarter of the budget Celtic's got. And they got him. The Stephen Robertson got St Mirren into Europe this season, so brilliant achievement.
Yeah, Michael. I don't know if you've got some inside info there, but is your pal Marco Hara fit or what?
I don't know. He's been out the last few weeks with an injury as well. But I would be very surprised if he come back into this game. But no, I don't know anything. I haven't spoke to him or whatever for we.
Do you think he's just playing the cool card here? Do you think he knows?
I don't think Michael and Cool really go together, to be honest. I don't think he's that clever.
Thanks. Yeah, love you. No, I don't know anything.
That stumped him.
I think Robinson will move on to the more important stuff, Michael. I think he's beaten Celtic before under Ange Postecoglou. I remember that match when both
Mark scored that goal.
Yes, I remember when both teams wore a black and white strip, and it was very hard to see who was who. You know, that was one of the matches, but I think like St Mirren, like they set up hard to beat, so it's all about Celtic trying to break them down and see what they can do. But I think Stephen Robinson has shown in European football this season that he's not going to just lie there and let Celtic and Rangers win the matches. He'll set up there with a game plan. He'll be resolute and hard to beat, and then he'll try their best.
Graham, St Mirren, well, obviously St Mirren's got a chance because they're at home on Sunday.
Yeah, they do. This is probably the best chance they'll have to beat Celtic being at home. I think they've got a lot of quality there. Alessandro up front, I know gets a lot of stick, but he's a threat. They do have threats up there that will cause Celtic problems. I think if they start the game well, if they can get after Celtic and make it difficult for them, they've got a chance. But I just think the way Celtic are playing just now, I know it's very early in the season, but I think the way Celtic are playing just now, they have raised their game, and I just think Celtic will be far too strong for this. I might be wrong, but I just think Celtic will be too strong.
Yeah. Regan, was that the game before the World Cup that Celtic got beaten against St Mirren? I'm sure it was before the World Cup as well. Yes, St Mirren, I mean, you've got to give St Mirren credit. They done well that day, but Celtic were kind of off it for the whole game, and nothing was coming off for them as well. But I think if you were a St Mirren fan and going into this game, you would be relying on Celtic to have an off day, and B, to have B for a set piece as well.
I think you will be, but you'll know that Brendan Rodgers will know that he's in for a tough match, and he'll know that the place is going to be bouncing, and it's going to be it's not going to be easy, And St Mirren have shown in the past that they can really take it to Celtic and Rangers. I remember both Michael Beale and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst both getting sacked there as well. So it's a very difficult place for big teams to go. So I'm just interested, but I think if both teams play well, then you expect Celtic, but I expect a very difficult afternoon for Celtic in Paisley.
Now, Graham, Stephen's not here tonight, right? And obviously, Regan put the cat out of the bag early on, but I think Stephen is feared because Hearts might beat Motherwell on Sunday. I'm not sure. Maybe I've just cursed it for you, Graham, but haha. What do you make of this game on Sunday? A very difficult game after a very difficult game last night in Europe. First of all, how was the game? I never saw any of
it. For 96 minutes, it was very good. I thought our game plan was very good. I'm not a massive fan of us playing through the back. I understand why I did it yesterday, and it worked for most of the game. They had a lot of possession, which I expected, but didn't really do a lot with it. I thought we were quite comfortable defensively. We had a few threats in the counter-attack. We played Kenny Vargas up front. It's just his decision-making at times. I love Kenny Vargas, but his decision-making at times was quite poor. There was a couple of times yesterday, especially second half, he should have taken a shot and didn't take it. So it was frustrating that way, but I would have taken a 1-0 defeat at the start of the game. I'd have snapped the hand off for that.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to get back to Tynecastle with a chance next week, and we've got that. But I thought we were going to get a 0-0 draw, which would have been a great result. And then it's a really good cross. I was critical of Oyegoki, but having watched it back a couple of times, I think he's unlucky. The ball just bounces off and there's not much you can do about it. I kind of question whether Craig Gordon could come out and catch that. You could see he made the move to come out, then went back in. He maybe could have come out, but it's just one of these things. It's unlucky. And because it's the last seconds of the game as well, it's so frustrating because the game plan was working perfectly for most of the game. But like I said, a 1-0 defeat had taken that just to be in the tie for next week. I'm going to that game next week, and I'm taking my laddie with me. This is his first European night at Tynecastle, so I'm looking forward to this. And we're in the tie. That's what I wanted. I think they didn't look great last night. I didn't think they were brilliant last night. I think we've got a genuine chance next week at Tynecastle. We get an early goal. The place will be bouncing next week. I think we've got a chance. I was pleased with a lot of what I saw yesterday. After the last two games against Dundee and Falkirk, that was a massive, massive improvement. But Sunday's a difficult game. We've seen it numerous times over the years that after games on a Thursday, it's very difficult. But that's why we've got a squad. I think Naismith said last week after the Falkirk game, he now knows that he can't rotate the squad as much, which I'm happy about because we definitely can't. But I think he'll make 2 or 3 changes on Sunday, and we should have a big enough squad. But Motherwell will be tough. They've not had a brilliant start to the season. There's a lot of questions about Stuart Kettlewell. But this is a tough game, a really tough game. And my worry is we've played 4 games and only scored 1 goal. Frankie Kent against Dundee. We're not scoring enough. Now, I am hoping that next Friday, or by the time we transfer with the shuts next Friday, we're going to have the striker them. Because we're relying on Shanklin and Vargas to score the goals, and it's not happening yet. So we have to get somebody else in. We've got James Wilson at 17 who won't start. Musa Drami is a project. He won't start. Liam Boyce is about 80-year-old. He won't start. We need another striker in there. So I'm hoping that'll happen, but I wouldn't say I'm confident for Sunday, but I think we've got players that can come in and make a difference.
And Graham Hearts are doing everything they can, because obviously you mentioned Gary on, it's only £5 for your son for the European game. That's brilliant to see, but I hope other clubs follow suit, even for the domestic games or the Premier Sports Cup.
Yeah, it was only £20 for me. So £25 for two of us to go to a European game. I'm more than happy with that. Like, I refuse to pay the £30 to watch Tottenham in a friendly, but I'll quite happily pay the £25 for next week because it's a big game. But I heard Reagan talking earlier about 20 is plenty, and he's right. St Johnson did a thing about it ages ago, and it is right. You know, you're pricing folk out the game. How can you justify paying £30, £40 for a game of football, plus maybe buying stuff at the game, and it's too expensive. But next week is far, far better. That should, and also the fact we're still on the tie, that should entice Tynecastle to be a really good atmosphere next week. It should pack next week. And I'm buzzing for it, because all I want to start the game, and I said this to everyone before the game, all I want is to still bring the tie back to Tynecastle, and we've got that. So I think we've got a very good chance this week, because I don't think they look brilliant.
Reagan, it's going to be a brilliant night at Tynecastle. Look out for Graham and the Sun, and ignore them if you want. Under the floodlights at Tynecastle on a wet, well, hopefully not wet first night. You never know. But what do you make of this game?
I think Tynecastle's got a great atmosphere, so hopefully it benefits Hearts, and hopefully they can do Scottish football proud, because as Graham was saying earlier, I think we've had too many hard luck stories where we don't help our teams and then we moan about it. We go, Motherwell have let us down again, or Kilmarnock have let us down again. There's Aberdeen out of the first round. You know, so I think we need to be realistic, but we also need to help each other and realise that we're a small country and we need to help. And I hope that Hearts go through next week. I watched a little bits and bobs, Graham, but what did you make of Craig Gordon? Did he do okay?
He was very good. Xander Clark had a back injury, so that's why I didn't start. But Craig Gordon is now our record European holder, which is brilliant. Congratulations to him as well. But I thought he was good. Very, very good day. He didn't have a lot to do, which surprised me, because I thought they'd put more pressure on us, but they didn't really create a lot. But what he had to do, he dealt with. But there's been a lot of questions about the goal. You know, could they have come for it? Is it Oyegoke's fault? It's just one of these really good crosses in a dangerous area. It's nobody's fault. It's just one of these things. But he was very, very good. But if Xander Clark's fit on Thursday, on Sunday, I don't think he'll start. But I can see Gordon playing again next week. I mean, I love Craig Gordon. He's a hero for me. And I think to come back from that double leg break is sensational, and play European football is absolutely brilliant. But I just think at the moment, I know that this was talked about weeks ago, where Stephen Naismith said he's not got a guaranteed number one. I think that's a mistake. You've got to pick a number one and stick to him. And right now, for me, as much as any Hearts fan watching this might not agree, for me, it's still Xander Clark. I would still be playing Xander Clark, personally.
What do you make of this game on Sunday, Graham? Because it's all right having a big European game on Thursday night. The supporters up for the game, but you've got to deal with Motherwell on Sunday.
How often do we see teams after the European game then lose the next league game? That concerns me. But we've got a big squad. You know, this is what Stephen Naismith signed 9 players for. You know, to help with the transition from European football to league football. We've got players that weren't playing yesterday. Jan Dander, Blair Spittle. We've got a very good squad there that should be able to cope with this. I think we'll be up for it on Sunday. We have to get back on the track in the league. We've lost against Dundee. We drew the opening game against Rangers. We need to get back on track here. So it's a tough game. But Motherwell will be up for this. They've not had any games to play. They'll be up for this. They'll be fresh. I'm intrigued to see how we're going to start the game. You know, if we are if we play it within the second half against Falkirk next week, I'm worried. But I'm hoping we'll be up for this. I think we will be. But if Motherwell are going to beat us, then this will be the time to do it after the European game. But what I'm really frustrated about, after last week, after the Falkirk game, I saw a lot of stuff on social media about Stephen Naismith should get sacked. What a lot of nonsense. Honestly, it's 3 games into the season. Against Rangers, we were great. Against Dundee, it was poor. But against Falkirk, we could have been 4 up in half an hour. We created chances, didn't take them. Second half was really poor. But to be saying that Naismith should be sacked after a few games is just ridiculous. And it's the same with David Gray. You know, this always happens. After a defeat, everyone goes mental saying the manager's got to get sacked. And I don't agree with that at all. It's far too early in the season for that. It will turn round. It will turn. Now, if we go 10 games without a win, will I be asking questions? Of course I will be. But there's no way I'm sacking Stephen Naismith after 4 games. It's ridiculous.
As from a Motherwell point of view, Regan, what are you hoping? Obviously, they've got home advantage on Sunday, and obviously, Glenn was saying that they've got an advantage because they haven't played this week, and Hearts has been away at a very difficult venue to play European football. Do you think that would come into it?
I think it will, and I think Motherwell have a full week prepared, but Hearts have still Motherwell's best player, in my opinion, so they should be able to beat them. And like Graham said, people like Danda didn't play last night, so they should be able to beat Motherwell. But Motherwell will be happy on the back of last week. They've probably been on the back foot because they probably felt like they probably shouldn't a bit of beating Kilmarnock. But when Stuart Findlay gets sent off for a second pickable offence, then that really puts it in the hands of Motherwell. So fair play to them, because they're now in a quarter final where they can smell Hampden.
I mean, it would be absolutely no surprise to me to see Blair Spittle score on Sunday for us, because that always happens. A player goes back to his former club and scores the goal. You can just guarantee that Spittle will score.
The winning goal, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, a wee quick word on the game on Sunday as well. Another representative from Scotland got beat last night 2-0, but so they've got more work to do than Hearts, you would say, on Thursday night. But first of all, they need to take care of Aberdeen, Regan, on Sunday.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Aberdeen. I just hope they get the Majowski replacements in. I'll probably need 2 players, because Majowski scored a lot of goals and contributed to the team. But this is where the eye kind of look and say, well, surely if Celtic were going to get rid of Kyogo, surely they should have forward plan that went, right, well, we'll bring in Majowski right now and go, right, if Kyogo's got a new agent, then we'll take Majowski, but by the by there. But I think in terms of Aberdeen, they'll be very happy. I mean, that's 7 wins in a row under the new manager. You know, I think he's really made a good impact, and I think you can really tell that the players are buying into him. You know, so I think just I don't know. I think the feel good factors back around Aberdeen. I think they probably need 3 or 4 players in over the next couple of days. I think over the next couple of days it's going to be very, very busy. I think players and teams will be really interested in trying to get as many players in as possible. I think Aberdeen, they'll be very happy with the way they've started this season.
Here's a question to put out there. It might not happen. It's early in the season. I know that. I get that. But if anybody is going to split Celtic and Rangers this season, could it be Aberdeen? No European football. The field started quite well. Got money from Majowski. Could Aberdeen potentially be the club that splits them?
But who are they going to bring in, Graham, to replace Majowski? They need 2 or 3 players. They need 2 of... I don't think Gavin Nisbet's going to help them split Celtic and Rangers.
Potentially not. I think he will go Aberdeen though. But what I saw earlier, it looks like he wants Aberdeen, and they probably will strengthen further. But I mean, they've spent £1 million on a player. The only team that's done it so far. So I mean, could Aberdeen be the one that actually does split them? I don't think it'll be us. As much as I'd love to see it, I don't think it'll be us.
Yeah, I mean, and Aberdeen deserve to be in, maybe not to be in the mix, but certainly the top six, Graham, because that they've missed out in the top six for the 2 seasons back to back.
I mean, it feels strange me saying that, given how bad they've been the last couple of seasons. But I think Jimmy Thielen's come in. They won their Group Cup stage. Okay, it wasn't difficult, but they've won their opening cup games in the league. They look pretty decent so far. I mean, Aberdeen, if they can, I think Regan's right. I think they will strengthen before the window next week. But if they can strengthen a bit further, there's no reason they couldn't be up there. I'd love Hearts to do it, but I just think playing Thursday, Sunday is going to have an effect on us. But Aberdeen look pretty decent. I genuinely think they look quite good, and if anyone could do it could be them.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just because that they've got a new manager and as well, maybe new ideas and, thinking outside the box, coming from Sweden as well, so we just have to wait and see in that one. From a Kilmarnock point of view, Graham get beat last week in last night in Europe, still in the tie right enough. It's going to be quite difficult taking them back to Rugby Park. That's Thursday night, but it's the same as Hearts. You can look ahead to that European game all you want, but they've got a big game on Sunday before. Because I'm sure that if you ask Derek McInnes, his focus will turn to the Aberdeen game first, and then in fact, you would call the game on Sunday the Derek McInnes derby.
Yeah, I mean, they've not started the season well. And I did say at the start of the season that there's always that one team that drops off, and I did say Kilmarnock. I've got them finishing 7th. Not because I don't like them, just because I think they've got an awful lot to do. I was watching the Hearts game last night, so I didn't see the Kilmarnock game, but I've seen a few highlights, and for me, that's not a penalty, the opening goal. I don't think that's a penalty. I think that's very harsh to get that given against them. But I actually thought they'd get beat by a lot more than that. So they are still in the tie. Like Hearts, I wanted to still be in the tie, and I think Kilmarnock still are. If they get an early goal back next week, they're back in it. So they're not out of it. But again, it's what I said earlier. I know that Kilmarnock wanted the game on Sunday postponed, and I completely understand why. They've got a chance to qualify, like we do. So why not give them a chance to do it? But of course, it's the SFA. They won't do it. But they have to look forward to Sunday now. They can't control what else happens, but I think this is a really tough game. Aberdeen have started very, very well under Jimmy Thielen. They look like they've got an identity now, which they didn't have last season. They know what they're going to do. I think how they replace Majowski is going to be big. They've got 6.5 million there sitting waiting to spend, which I'm sure they will. But I think they started very well. Kilmarnock at the moment are... I'm not quite sure what's going wrong with them just now. They've had a really, really poor start to the season. And I don't think it's going to get any better on Sunday. I just think Aberdeen look very, very strong. I mean, if Kilmarnock can start off with a victory on Sunday and get the season back on track, then brilliant. But I just don't see it. I think Aberdeen look very, very good just now.
Yeah, no, exactly. And same with Hearts as well. It's funny that the two teams in Europe are away from home this weekend. I don't know if that's happened before, but it's going to be quite interesting. Going all the way up to Aberdeen on Sunday, but you never know.
I heard there was something McInnes said. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something about, it was nice of the SPL to give us a trip to Aberdeen after the European game. I mean, that's just the way it happens, though. These fixtures are done early in the season. There's not a lot you can do about it. I get why he's not happy, but you knew this was happening weeks ago. So, you've just got to take it as it comes. Yes, it's not ideal. Going to Aberdeen on a Sunday afternoon is not ideal after the European game. But it's the way the fixtures came out. And he knew that weeks ago they were going to go up there. So you just have to get on with it.
And I mean, to be fair to the SFA, not that I'm going to give them credit and all that, when the fixtures came out, they didn't realise that Kilmarnock's still going to be in European football.
Exactly.
Because, they could get knocked out the previous round, you know what I mean? So the SFA is not mind riggers, so I wouldn't maybe blame the SFA then. But yeah, I mean, going back to your point earlier on about like getting teams cancelling the games and all that as well. I think that the way that Kilmarnock and the Hearts are looking at it is it's big money for your clubs as well, Grim, you know.
It is. I mean, if we win next week, hopefully we will. If we win next week, it's an extra 2 games. So we've got 8 games. That brings in more money, which creates more revenue, which is helpful to us. Obviously, it's good for Scottish football as well that you've got Hearts with another 8 games in Europe that would go after Christmas. It would generate a lot of interest in Scottish football, which is why I said I'm only talking about qualifiers postponing games. I'm not talking about group stage football, just the qualifiers to help us get through. Like what Victoria Pilsen have done. You know, the Czech people have gone, you know what, you can have that game postponed, get ready for next week. But in Scottish football, we don't do that. You know, what a chance that would be for us in Kilmarnock. Have the games postponed on Sunday, give us that extra bit of time to prepare for next week. Imagine if Hearts and Kilmarnock both got through European football, how good that would be for Scottish football. But no, we don't do that in Scotland. We just go, nah, just get on with it. Every other nation's laughing at us going, haha, we're allowing our team time off, but we won't give you it. It's rubbish. It really is rubbish. They need to start helping teams. I said that previously. Scotland is the only nation that doesn't do it. You know, we talk all the time. I've heard other pundits and that talk about the fact that our Scottish teams are so bad in Europe. But now when we've got a chance to qualify, they don't help. I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
I think this goes back to years ago, Grim, when Celtic was in the final of the Phil, and Celtic asked for the game to be called off, and I'm sure that they made their game play during the week. And if memory serves me right, it was Dundee at home. So then again, back then, the SFA said no to the clubs. And there you go. You've got one of the kind of top clubs in Scotland making a major final, and the SFA is still saying, nope. It's like,
yeah, I mean,
no.
If you're in a European final, especially, you should be getting extra dispensation. They should be saying, you know what, we're going to postpone your game. You're in a European final. It's great for Scottish football. But no, it's the SFA. They don't do that. I mean, let's be honest. It took them half a season to bring VAR in. I mean, that's just what Scottish football does. We don't help ourselves. We get criticised all the time by everyone else, and we don't help ourselves. I mean, seriously, I now have to watch us play on Sunday, knowing that Pilsen have been given time off to prepare for a massive game next week. Their FA have helped them. Our FA do exactly that. Nothing.
There you go. I was hoping that Glenn Buggett mentioned VR on the show, but there you go. All sense come to those who wait, or whatever they're saying may be. So that's the weekend games. In the Premiership and the Championship at the weekend, there's no games tonight on a Friday night, Graham. I don't know what you're going to do tonight. Maybe watch Coronation Street or something. But the games are tomorrow. There you go. Livingston against Morton, Hamilton against Gunfermline, Airdrie against Queen's Park, Falkirk against Packet Thistle. I think that would be the game of the day for me. Yeah, Graham, I don't know about you. And Ayr United against Raith Rovers. I was just going to ask you for your pick of your games, but I think you've given it away.
Well, I think there's 2: Falkirk, Partick, and Ayr United against Raith Rovers. I am still surprised that Raith don't have a new manager yet, given the fact they sacked Team Murray about 3 weeks ago. I thought they were a summer down by now. I mean, I think Ayr have started the season quite well. I think Scott Brown's done a good job. I kind of think Ayr you might win that, but that Falkirk Partick game is a massive game because I got Partick down to win the league. But I said that previously, the Championship is such a tough league. I mean, Falkirk against us last week were very impressive. I think that's 41 games unbeaten now. It's incredible what they've done. They're a very good side under John McGlynn, but that Falkirk Partick game is an absolutely brilliant fixture. That to me is a Premier League fixture. It should be anyway. That's a brilliant, brilliant game, that, I think.
Yeah, I just wonder if there was a TV game tonight, I think that would have been on. I'm not sure why there's not a Friday night game, because I love my Friday night football game. But, yeah, that would have been on for me, that game.
Yeah, I mean, after last week, would I want to watch Falkirk again? Probably not. But no, it's a cracking game, that, honestly. It's two very good teams that want to try and get the ball down and play good football. That has the potential to be a really good game. And it's unusual for all the games to be on a Saturday and not one game on a Friday night, especially looking at that fixture. I mean, that Falkirk Partick Thistle game should easily be a Friday night fixture, but it's not.
Yep, so that is all the championship games on the weekend for you, kicking off tomorrow as well. We're going to come back to the football as well, because we're going to come back to Graham's pals, the SFA, in a wee minute or two, because there is a big report out this week. Don't know if you saw it, Graham, about the state of Scottish football, you would say. And I thought, well, let's just have a wee moan about this, because we like to moan about it. But we're going to take a minute or two, Regan, to talk about the Paralympics. They kick off on Wednesday, is it? The 28th of August to the 9th of the 8th of September, actually, in Paris. And let's hope it's not a raining one like the actual Olympics was a few weeks ago when they come out. I don't know about you guys, right? But I was going to suggest in the Olympic Games, you know, when they went down the Seine in the river, I had an idea for the closing ceremony for the all to reverse their boats back out, because they're going away from the Olympics in Skiga to the Olympics. Anyway, nobody found that funny. I'll just move on now. I'm embarrassed for myself. I'm not. Okay, Graham, Regan, what do you think of the Paralympics? Of course, the games will be live on Channel 4. And if you see Nigel over there, give him a wee wave, because he'll be stuck in the dark room somewhere.
It's going to be good. It's going to be great. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, Michael, so it should be good. I'll be keeping an eye on loads of the sports. I like the athletics. I like the boccia. So, yeah, there'll be a lot of sports I'll be keeping my eye on, and hopefully some Scottish people can bring back some medals as well. So, aye.
Yeah, Graham, the competitives, the athletes will take part in 22 sports across 11 days of competition, and 549 medals up for grabs.
I think it's great that it's getting highlighted. You know, the fact that it's live on telly as well. I think these kind of things should be highlighted more. So I'll hopefully maybe get to watch some of it. But yeah, it should be interesting. I didn't actually manage to watch much of the Olympics when it was on, to be honest. I saw maybe a couple of bits, but not a lot. But I might take a wee interest in the Paralympics, see what happens in that. But hopefully we can come back with a few medals. All of them gold, of course.
Yeah, no. And I don't know about you guys. I can only say there's on here. I can't see it anywhere else. But it's just a pity that we've not got a Team Scotland in the Paralympics. Of course, they come under Team GB, but in the Commonwealth Games, we do have a Team Scotland. But this is the only thing. It really frustrates me sometimes, guys, because it goes under Team GB and not Team Scotland.
Yeah, I think it's always good to represent Scotland, and it's always good to see Scotland on the map. But yeah, all the guys will be Scottish at heart. But I totally agree with you, Michael.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to see Graham. Now I'm going to put you on the spot here, right? I don't know if you've actually saw this, right? I saw this sport for the very first time at the Paralympics in London. I thought that was cool. Blind football, and I'm not talking about Hearts here, by the way.
No, I've not seen that, but that could be interesting.
Yeah,
I might have to take a wee interest in that. Let's see if there's any Scottish officials at that, because they're all blind anyway.
See what I find interesting about that, Michael, is that no matter the level that you can see, they actually blindfold everybody on the pitch to make
it. Even the
how do they work VAR then?
The same way they always do. They don't see
it. Yeah. So it's live on Channel 4.
Handball. You never saw it. It's never a handball.
Yeah. the games begin on Channel 4 next week, and we'll speak about them in next week's show. Actually, right, guys.
I have to tell that thing that you were talking about earlier. But I don't know if did anyone see this Alan Ruff thing, which is superb, by the way.
Yeah.
No.
So Alan Ruff was walking along.
Chat.
He was going to a shop, and there was a blind guy outside the shop. So Alan Ruff threw some money in, and he went, "There you go." And the guy went, "Oh, thanks very much." And he recognised Alan Ruff's voice. And obviously, this is not long after like Peru beat us 3-1. So the guy was blind, and Alan Ruff noticed that. So he talked to the guy for about 2 or 3 minutes, then went away. And the blind guy went, "Oh, Ruffy, me and you've got something in common." And he went, "What's that?" And the blind guy went, "I never saw the 3 goals against Peru either." I love that. That's genius.
Regan, I put it in the group chat, by the way, if you've not thought, but it was pretty funny, actually.
I love that.
So there you go. Something that might not make you laugh here, Graham. Well, maybe it will. I don't know if you saw that the SFA has brought out a report about football that I'm sick of them doing reports and not doing anything with it. But they brought out a report on Wednesday this week about. Have you seen it, Graham?
I haven't had a chance to see it yet. No.
Oh, okay. About youth development, and basically they were basically what we've been saying for years about the transition from kind of like junior football to kind of like professional football, and they said that they need to be a better pathway in the game. Now, Craig Levine, your pal Graham, came out with a brilliant comment today at his press conference and said that how youth players don't get a chance at football is because managers are scared that they would get the sack. And I think he's Kevin the cliff in that one. So, Regan, what's your thoughts on this report?
My thoughts on the report, I think it's eye-opening that we're struggling to get players playing football. But it's like the thing I said yesterday that I heard on the news that it's now £100 now to rent a football park for people to go and play. So I don't think families can afford to pay that. You know what I mean? Because I've seen football clubs this week talking about this for £40 per child per month. You know, and families are not able to afford £40 a month for people to go and play football and stuff like that and play sports. As much as it's great for families to be able to say that their son and daughter are keeping fit and stuff like that, but I don't know if it's becoming far too expensive for people to enjoy, you know, because there needs to be some way that we can make football free and sport free, because it's a really good benefit for people to be playing football, you know, rather than saying that'll cost you £100.
Well, I'll tell you something right now, right? So my laddie has not long joined a new team in Penicuik, his local team in Penicuik, right? And we've got a WhatsApp group. There's about 25 people in it. So yesterday, after the game, they put a thing in the WhatsApp group chat. They have set up a GoFundMe page to buy strips for the players. Now, my laddie's 12. He's 12-year-old like the rest of them. And they're setting up a GoFundMe page because they've not got enough strips. Now, that, to me, is shocking. I genuinely think that's terrible. Now, to be fair, they've raised half of it already. But why are we setting up GoFundMe pages to buy strips for kids? I think that is outrageous.
And also on the back of that, Graham, just when we were talking about disability sport, so this year we had like 3 national teams competing in you had the Cerebral Palsy World Cup, right? You had the Amputee Football Championships, and you have the Deaf Championship, right? Now, the Cerebral Palsy tournament, right, that team nearly never make it to the tournament because they had to raise funds themselves, right? And it was a week to go and they never met their target. Now, Celtic as in Celtic Football Club, right? They had to come in with the money. Now, my argument with this claim is no matter what level you're playing at, if it's women's, men's, disabled football, even walking football, and if you're representing your country, the SFA or the government, well, especially the SFA, maybe not the government, should be backing you because you're going to represent your country, and it doesn't matter what level you're playing at, you're still representing Scotland. And that's the same with your son as well, playing at boys' club football as well. It doesn't matter if he's 9, 5, 7, 13, he's still representing, Pennacook or Scotland, But yeah, so that kind of like really annoys me. And reading that report, right, I don't really saw it yet, Glenn, right, but they've actually commissioned the report. Now, to me, that's a waste of money because we could have told the SFA that weeks ago when we talk about it every week. Why do they need a report to work out that Scottish football's not working?
See, it's funny because we spoke earlier about is it frustrating that we don't spend millions of pounds on players and stuff? And yes, it is. But then if you do the flip side of that, it means no young players get a chance. So, I kind of agree with Craig Levein. There's a lot. See, if you look years ago at Hamilton Accies, they were bringing through young players. They were the ones that brought through. Yeah, James McCarthy and James MacArthur. They brought those guys through. But I do agree with Craig Levein that I think a lot of managers now don't want to play young players because of the pressure that's on them to finish in the top 3, get European football. Maybe they think youngsters can't handle it. But youngsters actually sometimes are better than the older players. I would actually quite happily have younger players in the Hearts team. For me, the likes of Yutaro Oda, our Japanese player, he gets a lot of love from Hearts fans because he runs about, but he's not got a lot of quality. You've got a guy like Macaulay Tate or Finlay Pollock in the youth team that I think is probably better than him, but doesn't get a chance. Now, they were both on the bench yesterday, Tate and Pollock, who I really like. But I do think a lot of managers now are worried to play young players in case they get the sack, and that's not great. Why should you have to justify playing young players? And I've seen it over the years. We had, I don't know if you guys remember this, or Reagan's away. I don't know if you remember this, but years and years ago, we played Celtic and won 4-0 under Brendan Rodgers. We had a 16-year-old laddie called Harry Cochrane, scored on his debut. He was brilliant. And then he disappeared. He's now playing lower league football. He disappeared off the face of the planet. But I think at times young players actually do thrive. I like Macaulay Tate. I think he's a cracking player. There's a few other youngsters at Hearts I think could get a chance. But I do think young players, they don't get a chance because of the pressure that's on managers now. Jim Jeffries did it in 1998. He brought young guys like Gary Locke, Alan McManus, Paul Ritchie, and they were really good. But nowadays, you don't see a lot of teams play youngsters. Maybe get it in the lower leagues, but certainly not in the Premiership.
I suppose it's gone back to not giving our age away, Graham, because Graham's still older than me by maybe 10 years as well. But back in the day, football was football. Football's now a business, Graham. Look at people coming up for Matt O'Reilly, Kyogo as well. It's a bit like a magpie. They swamp down and take people away. But it's not just happening in football. Look at golf. Look at the I can't remember the kind of but golf, tennis. I think the only sport it's not happening in so much as snooker and cricket, just because nobody can understand cricket. But it's not sport now, Grim. It's just money.
It is, and I think something that goes very unnoticed. We talk about professional football, which is fine because that's what we do on this show. But I think something that gets overlooked is grassroots coaches. Like my laddies coaches. People like that, they do a job. They probably got a job full time, and then they go and do training at night. They don't get paid for it, and they actually get a lot of stick. I've heard it numerous times, been at matches with my laddie and stuff. Some of the parents are actually worse than anybody else. I tend, when I go to my laddies football, not to shout. I just give them encouragement. But I've heard so many parents on touchdowns and stuff getting involved in their laddies team, and you think the coaches actually said to them, "Look, let me do my job." They're not getting paid for this. I think the job that some of these grassroots coaches do is incredible. You know, they're bringing these laddies on. They're trying to give them the right education and stuff, and it's very difficult. But you know, they're doing a really good job at this level. Like yesterday, my laddies team got hammered, but it didn't matter because they actually done all right. But last week, my laddies team were playing against a team two levels above them. And honestly, the coaching that goes into this is unbelievable. Like, it really is. And I think that gets missed. It really does. You know, you're trying to bring through, you're talking about young players, but you're trying to bring through the grassroots people. And a lot of that gets missed. You know, I think the job a lot of these coaches do is fantastic and it gets overlooked. They don't get paid for this. Like I said, they've got day jobs and then they're coming out at night to do an hour's worth of coaching. I think that's brilliant, but they don't get the recognition I think they deserve.
5 minutes left on the show. If you've got anything to comment about youth football, youth development, let us know. Regan, what's your views on the whole topic of bringing young people into the teams?
I think it needs to be done more. I don't think the bigger clubs with the bigger money like Hearts, Celtic, Rangers bring through enough. I think people like Brendan Rodgers and Naismith and that, they say that like they go, it'd be great to bring young players through, but when's the last time they properly gave a guy 20 games or 25 games? They just they bring him in for the odd cup match. They say, oh, here he is. It's like Rocco Vata, you know, that guy Nielsen at Hearts. You know, I'm glad Nielsen went to St Johnstone.
Perfect example. Sorry, Regan. Perfect example. I don't know if he's away yet, but Daniel Kerry's away in Millwall.
Yeah, I mean, he'll go down there and he'll smash it. A great young player. He'll probably come back up and be in the Scotland national team, but he finds it difficult to get anywhere near Celtic. It's like people like John McGinn, Andy Robertson, they got let go by Celtic. Greg Taylor.
I think the last real one was obviously James Forrest, and they're still there. But I think the last real player you would say went to learn his Craig up here. You would say is Kieran Tierney.
I think that's sort of big last one. That's sort of been there and done it. You've got people like Nathan Barton as well that's been there and done it. Greg Taylor was obviously the Rangers Academy. You've got Lewis Ferguson. Aaron Hickey, he was Celtic as well. So you've got all these players that should be given more game time. And you look at when the majority of the Scotland team, they're all playing down south, but at one point in time, they've been told they're not good enough by Celtic or Rangers. And I think sometimes that we often go, oh, look at the progress of Lewis Ferguson over in Serie A. But that's because the Italians are saying to him, right, here's the opportunity. You go and show us that you're a good player. You know they've got no fear. But over here, it's a kind of wrong thing to do.
Well, the thing is, next week, Scotland squad's announced for the games in the Nations League. You could potentially, if you wanted to, put David Watson and Lennon Miller in there. But I bet we won't do it.
Well, I said this about that guy, Lamine Yamal. If my Spanish is correct, he's 17 years of age. Michael and Graham, and like that's a guy that won Spain the Euros. You know, can you imagine if we threw in Lennon Miller at 17 and went, here, go beat Hungary and Germany? They'd be like, what? The guy's 17. We'll give him a couple of, the attitude in Scotland is, Graham, that we just go, oh, but he needs more time. We need to give him another 4 or 5 years.
Well, you've got Ben Doak as well.
Ben
Doak could be in that squad.
I think as well, and we'll come back to this because we're running out of time. We could spend a whole 2 hours on the subject, but a lot of it could do with PlayStations as well. But as somebody said yesterday, that you can get PlayStations in Spain and all that, and that they're still producing good players. So, what's the difference? I think the difference is we've not got the weather over here to play football out in the streets. But anyway, that's so thanks for watching. It's been a brilliant show as always. Thanks to you for watching. Thanks to Graham. Thanks to Reagan. We'll be back on Sunday
No
after
problem.
the Celtic St Mirren game. And yes, and we'll see you again on Sunday. Enjoy your football.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
then.